Jason Wells with MLM Complete Package, and I wanted to cover kind of an abstract subject, but it's basically an old saying, not fitting a square peg into a round hole. Before I get into that, I just want to remind you, if you haven't gotten it yet, our Complete Networker book is out, and it's pretty much out in all versions. Paperback will probably be this week released, just waiting on the publisher. So if you go to CompleteNetworker.com, you can pick that up. Now, what am I talking about here? Well, again, I'm sure you've heard this phrase at some point, but if you haven't, it's basically a phrase that talks about common sense. And since common sense is a big part of the title of our Complete Networker book, Building Network Marketing with Business Common Sense, it's a great time to segue into some common sense subjects. Now, I can go into a multitude of things that I think lack common sense in the MLM community, but I'm going to focus on one that I think that isn't so obvious to people. And I don't even think common sense can be applied until this situation is actually framed in a way that you can look at it and go, okay, I can apply my common sense to this now. And you know what? That doesn't make sense. And so I only bring this up because this particular subject I'm about to cover, we get a lot of questions on this. And it comes up in many different ways because oftentimes the questions we get are asked in 20 or 30 different ways, but it really comes down to the same issue. So that's basically the lack of understanding out there in the difference between direct sales and a network marketing business. Now, I understand that all of these are in the same industry. My company is a network marketing company, and it's a member of the Direct Sales Association. It's all the same thing in that sense, but the way you build, say, a direct sales company as opposed to a network marketing company is slightly different. And you know, you can use them synonymously. It's the same thing in a lot of ways, but let's just narrow it down to the way I define it, and then you can call it whatever you want, but I'm trying to use some terminology that you can work with as I go through this training. So there's the network marketing model, which uses the non-party plan way of building. And then there's what I call the direct sales model that uses the party plan style of doing things. Now, first of all, and I'll probably say this a couple times throughout just to be clear, I'm not saying that one is better than the other. It's just really a preference on how people want to build. Both styles of growing have actually generated a lot of money over the years in the direct sales industry. So again, this is not some, one's better than the other. It's just helping you understand what's out there, where you're at, and how to fit into it. So I'm going to use my company, for example, as an example to explain this. So the first product line is we have nutrition and vitamins, and then we have a skincare line. Now, both of these product lines can be built with both models I discussed, but one is suited better for one style and one is for the other. So if you take the vitamins, for instance, it's pretty suited for like the network marketing model of building things. And that's, as we market on a day-to-day basis, we have encounters with potential customers and we move the product that way. Whereas the skincare line is more suited for the home party model where you have a party. The parties are really good for that type of product because you can demonstrate the product. They can sample it and not just handing out a sample. It's actually a structured, try this product out presentation that works really well with that kind of product because people can touch, feel, and use the product right there. And, there's been a lot of companies over the years that have used this kind of model. Now, I bring up these examples because we get a lot of questions, I said at the beginning, about people in the industry who are involved with a certain company. Usually they get involved at the beginning without really realizing what they're going to be doing. And then they're told, well, this is how you build a business. And the people don't want to do the party plan style of building. And I don't know what they thought. I don't know if they thought when they came in that they really didn't think about how they were going to build it, but they get stuck in that situation where, well, this is what works, but I don't want to do it that way. Now, I don't want to get into like one's better than the other. Now, I'll tell you personally, the party plan thing doesn't fit me. But I have a lot of people in my team that build that way for the skincare line, and I don't get in their way if that's what they prefer to do. The limitation I have with even those people is I'm no expert on the party plan model because I never really built that way. No one can be an expert in everything in direct sales, and that's just one of my weak areas because I've never built that way, so it's hard for me to train it. I can certainly give my common sense and business insight and marketing techniques. I can teach people how to get people to those parties because I'm good at marketing. But as far as teaching how to do the actual presentation and building that way, it's not something I'm able to do, which kind of brings in my point. I have a lot of people who are out there and they say, well, I really love this product, but I don't want to build it that way. I'll build it my way, and then if anyone in my downline wants to build it the way everyone else does in the company, they can do that. And the problem with that is the example I just gave. You're going to have a real hard time training something if you don't do it. And so if you haven't done it, how are you going to train it? And it's like anything. It's like, I guess there's some people that have coached a sport without playing it, but it's rare. And it's why a lot of my friends are so effective volleyball coaches is because we've all played volleyball for years. So when we teach things, we can teach it from the perspective of doing it. I hope right now you can see why I named this blog and this training in YouTube and the podcast, you can't fit a square peg into a round hole. Because if you're in a party plan type of company, makeup, skincare, essential oils, candle, cooking type, those types of products are really built for more of a home party model. And am I saying you can't, don't send me a bunch of emails saying, well, I'm doing it this way successfully. I understand. There's always a way to do it. There's some people that can build it a certain way, but the reality is it's hard to duplicate that. And so you're kind of, you're fitting a square peg into a round hole if you take on this type of company, but you don't want to build it that way. And so, if your upline's telling you, well, this is how we do it, and you don't want to do that, and then I think what happens is, we have training out there and people trust us, and so they send us an email or they make a comment to us in some way trying to get validation on how they feel, and I'm just not going to do that. I mean, chances are your upline in that type of company suggesting that way of building for that type of company is correct, particularly if you're talking those kind of products. Now, maybe there'll be some difference in how they get people to the party, maybe some of their marketing strategies, maybe the way they communicate with their prospects, maybe the general way of building is going against what we talk about in our book, The Complete Networker. But as far as once you get people there in that party plan model, and the presentation itself, they probably know what they're doing at that point. And so if you're trying to get validation from us that, well, you don't have to do that, I'm just not going to say that. And so here are my suggestions. And you may not like it, but this is the honest to God's truth and how I feel about these subjects. If you really love the product you're associated with, then you're going to need to build with home parties. And that's your best option for duplication. If you don't like the way people or getting people to the parties, if maybe there's some lacking common sense on the communication strategies, maybe some of the marketing that they do to get people to the parties, then some of our training in our book as well as on our website can help you. But completely eliminating parties from your marketing funnel, I just don't recommend it. I just think you're, again, trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. This is why I chose the product that I chose years and years and years ago. Is I looked at a lot of different companies, but when I ran across stuff that was more suited to this type of model, I just, although some of the products and services that I looked at before I chose my company years and years and years ago looked really good, I was just like, I'm just not going to build this. It's not the way I want to do this. And remember, it's what's right for you, it's right for me, it's right for the other people out there. Now, if you really love your product and you're good with just selling it and getting customers but not building a team, I guess you can build your party plan type product your way. Just understand that you're not going to really be able to duplicate the process because, let's say you use a website, for instance, to market your product, and that's what you do. You don't use a home party model to present it. Maybe you use some online videos or you do some other thing, whatever. Understand that if you build a website, which very few people do, but let's say you're one of the rare 1% that will do that, what is your downline going to do? If you ever have a downline, you think they're going to do the same thing? Probably not. Hardly any, if any at all, are going to do that. So you need to face the fact that, it's going to be more of a direct sales. You're selling to a person, getting customer after customer, and you're not really going to get the leverage aspect of your business. It's hard to duplicate if you're not training. If you're trying to train what you're not doing, I guess is what I was trying to say. Now, if you just can't get over building with a party plan style and you want the leverage and you want it all the areas, then maybe you need to find a product that's more suitable for you, something that you're more apt to build. And this is the tough part. I've seen over the years people get involved in a company and there's aspects about the company that they love. And it's such a, oftentimes it's the product or the service. They love it so much. They believe in it, which is a huge part of growing an MLM business. But the thing is, if the other parts of it, the business building style, the way things are going for you, if those don't align with what you're going to do, it's really hard to build. And so if you're one of those people that's caught in this kind of situation, that's what you got to really assess and determine, is this something I'm going to do a long term, or am I going to start, just facing that this is the way I have to build it and build it that way. And if you just are not going to build it that way, then you need to really assess where you're at right now and determine if that's the best thing. And so, this just comes down to really facing what's in front of you, what you want to accomplish with MLM, and making sure that you're being true to yourself. And, understand this. Maybe the home party thing is the way to go, and maybe you're just not doing it because you're afraid of it for some reason. So that's why you say, I just don't want to do that. That's just not my style. It could be fears too. So there's a lot of things going on with this subject, and so you have to really think about it. And what I wanted to do with this training is come up with something that could give you the facts, frame it in a way that you could understand it, because we get a lot of questions on this, and I'm tired of repeating ourselves, frankly. So we made this training so when this question comes up again, and it will, we can always just direct people to this training, and hopefully it will help them. Hopefully it's helping you put this into some perspective that you can look at so you can understand where the breaking point is on this issue, and to realize that maybe your upline is right and maybe you're wrong, and you need to determine what you need to do to make it work for you, whatever that is. So I hope this training helped people out there that have asked this question, and it's put things in some perspective that you can get. Before I go, we get a lot of questions on this, and just want to remind you where to go. People ask about our free trial of our contact management system. You just go to membership and you click on free trial. Also, we constantly get asked if we do coaching, if we help people that are outside our team. And we do. We have group coaching as well as one-on-one coaching programs. So if you click on courses, training, and coaching, you can see what's entailed on that. And basically, have a great week. I hope you don't try to fit any more square pegs into round holes. Things will get a lot easier for you and your MLM business. Have a great week.